What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports, not the NBA Hardwood Show. It's the MLB Swing for the Fences show. We're talking about the slate that locks at 3:05 p.m. Eastern. So we're talking a nice little, I think it's a 6-game slate or 5-game slate. I know we got 2 of them today. So we're going to break it all down, talk about this slate for you guys. But I got to bring in JT. I got to bring in Gary, the 2 Braves guys. We got JT going to the game tonight. I think Gary's got the Braves hat on. I think he already went to a game, so you guys are all ready to go. But JT, we'll go to you first. How's your day going? Are you excited for the NBA playoffs? How's the Masters sweats? And are you pumped for the Braves game tonight?
Yeah, excited for opening. Well, that's not opening night for the Braves. It's opening night for me. Of course, we saw a fantastic game last night. They come from behind in the 9th inning. Our guy Steve Boynton was there, had a fantastic time. Him and his dad, I think they had to be carried out of the stadium on stretchers because it was a long day for those guys. But good to see the Braves off to a hot start. Good to see baseball off to a very, very interesting start here. The rule changes have been almost without exception a huge success to this point in the season. So it's interesting. It's a Friday. It's a good Friday. A lot of people are getting off from work and going to be coming in here looking to set their lineups. It's interesting what they've done here this week because we've had baseball every day this week and almost no baseball at night. And now today, when we usually don't get day games on Fridays, other than that random Friday Wrigley game, we got a 6-game slate here with some nice prizes. So interesting and excited to get into it and see what we can find here today.
Yeah, I'm over this crap of this day baseball. Like, I'm down to have it weekly at like Wednesday specifically, but like every single day is getting a little much. So I'm over this. Let's get the games back at night. Let's get 13-game slates, not these weird 5-6 gamers. But Gary, we'll bring you in. How is it going over there for you? And are you pumped for day baseball and night baseball today?
Yeah, so I think the cancellations yesterday, I think it was completely absurd. They canceled them the day before, thinking it was supposed to forecasted rain. And then I think all the spots that got postponed yesterday had 0 rain all day. So that's kind of why we are where we are today with this day baseball. But yeah, I'm like you. I like 1, maybe 2 days of day baseball and then focus my attention at night for the rest of the week. But hey, there's money to be made. Contest sold out super quick today. They definitely underestimated the willingness of people to play pre-Easter baseball during the day. So I'm excited. I got off work early today. Got to love the government. They gave me 4 free hours. It's not even a national holiday, so I'll take it. And we're going to pick some winners here.
That is true. I don't know. We can't get into government takes from JT Hayes, or else we'll be here a while. We don't want to do that, but it would be an interesting podcast. But let's dive in. Let's talk some baseball. I'm excited. And hey, we're not doing the NBA Hardwood Show. If anyone's wondering, that's one reason we switched over to this. I, for one, I love the NBA, but I'm excited to not have to go on at 4:45 and try and break it all down when it all changes, because it's all changing right now anyways, right? Melton just got ruled doubtful. So Wendell Carter Jr. is out. The Magic keep changing stuff. Check out the Up to Lock show, the premium show. We will have that at 6 o'clock. They'll break down MLB with draft cheats. So you get all your MLB takes there. You'll get JSU. You'll get Big T, Holden, keeping you up to date on all the news for the NBA slate. So that's the show to watch for that. Get on the premium side. There's only one code that works. It's JTAs15. That's it. Get you 15% off your first payment. So dive in and be sure to check out that show. It's worth it. JSU breaks down everything great. You get Big T talking about his player pool up to lock. You'll have us in the Discord chat. Gary updating people on news and how to handle it. I'll be in there answering questions as well. So we'll be helping you out with the NBA stuff. Don't you worry. Just go subscribe to runpuresports.com and you'll get all that great information from us. But let's dive in and let's talk about the pitching at the top. So far, we do have some good pitchers today, right? Like, this is not a slate where you look and it's a short one, but it's not when you say, hey, pitching's not great. Because you got Zach Wheeler on the mound, right, against Cincinnati, and you're not worried about Cincinnati, and it's in Philadelphia. You also got Lucas Giolito against the Pirates. Now, Giolito is a guy, he's not an absolute ace, right, but he's solid. He gets Pittsburgh, too. Seems like a decent spot. Logan Gilbert against Cleveland. That's not a bad one either. I mean, you got your cutie against Minnesota. We know Minnesota, yes, they can hit home runs, but they can strike out with the best of them. So there's definitely a lot of good options. I haven't even talked about Hunter Green. There's a ton that we can kind of dive into here. JT, how are you handling this slate with pitching up top?
Yeah, up top. So up top, you've got Zach Wheeler up there, the most expensive guy, 9,400, and then you got to go down to Gio at 8,900, and right below him is Gilbert at 8,700. So I like Wheeler. He got touched up a little bit by the Rangers, but I think the roof was open during that game, and the Rangers are a much better offense than Cincinnati. So for this home opener, I think Wheeler is coming in. He's going to be the highest owned guy. It looks like about 53%. Coming in is probably a guy that I'm going to either match or go over the field on. The next guy that I show in terms of ownership is Hunter Green. And yes, there have been certainly a rash of injuries here to this Phillies lineup. We know that Bryce Harper is out. Rhys Hoskins went down with the ACL, and now they placed Derek Hall on the injured list. But Green I think he's fine for the price. I don't know if I can match the 40% ownership here. I think I might make a decision to go somewhat under that, because I do think it's likely that we see a couple of balls fly out from some of the power guys on this Phillies lineup. But strikeout upside is there. Even in his last start, he struck out 8 and finished with right around 13 fantasy points, even though he gave up some runs there. So I think he's fine. You go down a little bit, and the next highest owned guy I see is Alex Cobb. He gets a good matchup and a good park against the Royals, but only 3 1/3 innings his first time out. We saw yesterday Alex Wood get pulled early. I mean, Alex Wood is not anywhere near an elite pitcher, and he was having some struggles, but still it was a bit of an early hook there. And that's, I think, what you're going to continue to see with San Francisco. But in terms of Cobb at 7,400, not bad. Giolito looked good in his first start against the Astros. Don't really know if we're going to want to pick on these Pirates as much as we have picked on the Pirates in the past, but the weather and that park skew towards it being a decent matchup for him. And then you mentioned Logan Gilbert and Aaron Savali in that matchup. I don't know that I'm in love with either of those guys. They both had okay matchups. It's a rematch from last week. And then you go down a little bit further, and you've got Clark Schmidt, who at 6,400, the way that park in Baltimore has played the last couple of seasons, I think it's a fine price for him. If you get 15 out of him, you're happy. And then when we get to that Twins game, I'll talk a little bit about Jose Urquidy. I don't think I'll be clicking his name today. I will not be clicking Rich Hill or Brad Keller or Dean Kramer. So my pitching pool, not quite yet finalized, but that's my thoughts on the guys who I think are in play for us today.
Yeah, another thing to call it with pitching too is like it's early in the year where pricing is just soft. Like we do not have like these stud aces at like 11K yet, right? Like, and I'm not saying Zach Wheeler should be 11K, but it's just as the slates kind of go on, we'll typically have space. The pricing gets spaced out, and we have it where there's not like too many cheap. I should say there's not too many cheap pitchers, but point being is you can get any pitcher you want, right? There's not as huge of a difference between the gap of Alex Cobb and Rich Hill at 7.4 and 7.1. First Wheeler at 9.4 or Giolito at 8.9. So typically these slates lean to grabbing whoever the raw point guys end up being naturally, because that's just baseball how it is. You have a lot of low-owned guys that are cheaper guys that can hit home runs. So I typically lean early in the season just getting these arms, right? It just makes a lot of sense, and especially on these shorter slates. Gary, we'll go over to you. That Philadelphia game is obviously one to watch weather-wise too. That's a good one. It's wind blowing in 10 miles an hour. It's going to be 60 degrees. And weather-wise in general on this slate, we got some cold spots. Like I think Seattle and Cleveland's going to be like in the 40 temperatures. Most stuff is in like the 40s and 50s. Highest you'll see is maybe 60s, but wind blowing in spots. So overall, there's no like real like rain delays to look for. There's no like seems like huge edges pitching-wise for the weather. It seems like they're all pretty much the same. So what edges are you looking for on this slate with your pitching, Gary?
Yeah, so just taking where I live, for instance, it was 85 degrees and very hot yesterday. And today it's rainy and 50 degrees in the span of 24 hours. So looking at the weather across the U.S., looking at these games specifically, I think we have winds coming in on all of these games, and it's going to be chilly. So definitely no edge when it comes to weather. I'm just going to try to pick my best spots here. Wheeler, I'll start with Wheeler. I'm not really sold on Wheeler yet this year. I know he had a rough spring. I know a lot of people don't take spring into account a lot, especially for vets, because they're just tossing. They're trying to get their arm warmed up for the regular season. and then he got bombed in his first start a little bit. Cincinnati is a little bit pesky this year. I mean, I know it's small sample, but they got the 4th highest ISO against right-handed pitching this season. Specifically, they got when we get to that game, I'll get to the guys that I like, but I do like some Cincinnati bats against them. I'm probably going to be half the field on Wheeler today. It's just a stand I'm going to take. I'm not going to full fade him just in case he has a comeback performance and I can kind of salvage a little bit, but I'll be underweight on him. My guy today is going to be Alex Cobb. I know JT mentioned he got pulled early in his first start. He was coming off some sort of hamstring or some sort of injury before that. He still got up to 76 pitches. I think you can get to 90 pitches here against this Kansas City team, who I'm going to be targeting a lot this year with pitching. 7,400 is just too cheap, in my opinion, for Alex Cobb in this spot. He looked really good in that first start, so I do like him. Hunter Green is another guy I like outside of the top 3 for Philadelphia. Their lineup is not good, so I will definitely have some Hunter Green. I definitely prefer Alex Cobb to Hunter Green, though, in this spot. Giolito is not somebody that I'm not going to be picking on Pittsburgh, like JT said. So far, it's just not somebody I'm going to pay up for. Savale is probably, I don't know. He's just a mad pitcher. He's 8,300. Like, he should be in the 7K range, given his strikeout ability or lack thereof. I'm not going to be on him or Sonny Gray. I won't be on Urquidy either. Just a guy that I normally don't play. Don't mind some Logan Gilbert, though. He looked pretty good in his first start against the same Cleveland team, and he had a 16.5% swing and strike rate in that start, even against this. Cleveland tends to not strike out a lot, but he did pretty good in that first start against them, so I do like him just a little bit. Clark Schmidt is somebody that, man, I was on him preseason. I got a lot of them in my season-long drafts, but man, he just got torched in that first start. I know it was the Giants who apparently want to lead the league in home runs all of a sudden, and I know this ballpark is. It's very clear that this is a pitcher's ballpark in Baltimore. That's my only positive for Clark Schmidt here. I like the O's offense a little bit, not specifically today. But long term, I do like their offense, and I just don't see a need for me to go down here to 6,400 for Clark Schmidt. So I probably won't be on him. So my 4 guys, it's Wheeler, Green, Cobb, and Gilbert. I'm gonna be under the field on Wheeler, probably over on Green and Cobb, and I'll probably be a little bit over on Gilbert as well.
All right, guys, if you could please hit that like, subscribe to the YouTube channel to find out when we go live with all our content over here at Run Pure Sports. JT, we got 100, we got 150 watching. We're obviously going to we want to give out those plays of the days, and it's a little bit of a surprise show. We got 41 likes. We'll let some more people file in, but let the people know they got to hit the like if they want to get those plays of the day, JT.
Yeah, so on the one hand, it's a little bit of a surprise, a little bit of a gift to you on Good Friday, so to speak. It's as if, I don't know, RPS resurrected the middle of the day MLB swing for the fences show. But so on the one hand, you want to be kind of generous because, hey, it's out of the ordinary schedule. But on the other hand, it is a surprise-free show on a Friday when we could be doing a lot of other things. So I think I would say this today because it's going to be a smaller audience because, it's a surprise. And I would say the likes have to come very close to matching the total number of viewers in order to get my play of the day today.
All right, let's keep this thing moving along. Let's go on over to the games. Unless you got anything else to talk about for pitching, JT or Gary, anybody? All right, we're good to go. Let's talk about the games. We're going to go game by game. We're going to talk about, we'll touch on pitchers here and there. Maybe if there's guys we don't like or really like, you'll get a read based on how we kind of talk about it. We'll also talk about the bats. So if this is your first time here, hit that like and welcome. That's how we kind of break it down. We talk pitching first, then we go through the bats. We talk about the games, different game environments. Then we'll talk about our top stacks at the end of the show. And then if the likes are good, we'll give away those plays of the day. So first one up, let's talk Yankees and Orioles. And Gary brought up some good points. This is clearly a ballpark that's better for the pitchers. But to be fair, this run total is good today on this slate, right? It's 8.5. So that's a one counter argument to have there. That's got to be one we have to consider. And they have some big home run hitters where guys like Aaron Judge, when you get a home run on some of these slates in April, that's a big deal compared to getting a home run later on in the season when it's a lot hotter and there's more runs being scored. So Aaron Judge, I think, obviously in the conversation, because in this ballpark, he can obviously hit it out. One other thing to note, if you want to play some Yankees, and let's say you want to do a mini stack, the lefties aren't as bad because that helps, I think, with the way the stadium is set up. Because I think it's the left field porch is a little bit further back than the right field one. So I do think that's a point to bring up with this stadium. But yes, they're a more righty-heavy lineup. And then the Orioles, they're going against Clark Schmidt. You can always make a case for these Orioles bats. I feel like that 1 through 5 is strong now, right? Where you got Mullins, Rushman, Santander, Mountcastle, and Henderson. And even some of these bottom of the order guys have power and they have speed as well, which is important this time you're getting those stolen bases. Gary, let's go to you first since you had some takes, it seemed like, when you were talking about pitching on this game. Yankees, Orioles, how do you want to handle it?
I mean, it's pretty hard for me. I mean, given the statement I made about, being a pitcher's park or whatever, I mean, man, Dean Kramer is just really, really bad at pitching the baseball. I'm going to have a lot of interest here in these Yankees. I mean, it starts at the top. I mean, it starts with Aaron Judge. You pull up his BVP too, and oh man, a small sample, but man, 4 for 7 with 3 bombs off Dean Kramer. It's always very good to see that. He will be probably 30-40% owned on this slate, so take that into account too. I definitely wouldn't I probably would not one off Judge just at that ownership. It's just not something I would do. Just make it a 5-man stack, and I do have quite a bit of interest in this 5-man stack, top to bottom. Stanton, Rizzo, Torres has been hot starting off. Even Franchi Cordero got a lefty there who can pull the ball to the other side of the field, which they didn't touch that fence like you said. So Volpe down at the bottom of the lineup, 2,800. He can steal some bags as well. So yeah, I'm in on these Yankees. Not so much on the Baltimore side though. 2 guys I do have in my pool still, just as one-offs potentially. Cedric Mullins, always in play for me versus a right-handed pitcher. And Jorge Mateo, down at the 9 hole. Nobody's going to play him. 4,100. He just has massive steal upside, and I like that as a one-off. So definitely in on the Yankees, just those 2 Baltimore guys for me.
All right, so Gary's got a little bit of interest. We'll go over to JT. JT, let's at least call this out. The BVP truthers, they're not out and about, but they should be because, against Dean Kramer, he's got 7 at-bats, 4 hits, and 3 are home runs. So 75% of the time he gets the ball in play, it's a home run. That's just how it works, KT. The math checks out. So Aaron Judge, obviously a good play as a one-off. And if we have a lot of salary, you can go to him. But do you think that ownership's too high? How do you handle this Yankees stack, and how are you handling the Baltimore side, JT?
Yeah, Yankees are coming in as the second highest owned stack here on the slate. And I think, Kramer is not good. We have seen that. We have seen, in addition, these Orioles relievers have struggled a bit in the early going to get adjusted with the pitch clock. On the Yankees side, we've seen them run quite a bit more. I was talking yesterday about how Gleyber Torres is looking to steal every time he gets on. Now, it is going to be interesting. This is one of the things I'm interested to see in this weekend series is Adley Rutschman has been very good in the early going against the opposing running game. And I'm interested to see whether or not the Yankees continue today or whether or not they're going to give some respect to the arm of Adley Rutschman. But I think Yankees make sense here. Baltimore, I can see as a contrarian stack going to Baltimore, not a whole lot, but certainly with the way that this team has been playing, the way that they've been taking advantage in the running game. It's going to be a very interesting series. Sets up here as a battle that we're going to see and probably enjoy several times throughout the season. So I wouldn't say either team is my favorite here. Yes, we have that total. The Yankees are one of only 4 teams with a 4.5 implied team total or better. So, but just I'll be on it. But it's not my absolutely killer I have to go to spot.
All right, we'll keep this thing moving along. Let's go to the Reds and the Phillies. These both games lock at 3:05 Eastern, so then you get a little hour gap for the start of the next games. But we got the Reds and the Phillies. You got Zach Wheeler on the mound and Hunter Green, and it does seem like a spot where hey, I don't know if you were going to like too many bats here, but Hunter Green, one thing you can make with a guy that's got a fastball like him, if it's not on, these Phillies, you don't want to miss, right? Because Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, these guys at the top, they definitely got some power and pop to be able to get a hold of them if he isn't on. Gary, we'll go back over to you. Do you have any interest in taking advantage of a high-owned Hunter Green with a lower-owned Philly stack on this 6-game slate, or is this just a hard pass for you?
I feel like I'm gonna get chastised here, but I would much rather take advantage of a low-owned Reds team against a high-owned Wheeler in this spot. I'm not going to 5-man the Reds here, but they are one of my favorite mini stacks, and it's mainly the lefties. TJ Friedel has been on fire. Jake Fraley has also been on fire. Jason Vossler has also been hitting the ball really well as Jonathan India. So those are the 4 main guys for me. I guess you can throw in Tyler Stevenson at the catcher position as well. I don't know. I see a slate where these guys I'm seeing 1.8% ownership or less on all these guys. I like that. I like that here against a pitcher that has struggled early on, whether you want to take spring training into account or not. I do like these Reds here quite a bit for a mini stack. And on the Philly side, it's just really Schwarber and Turner for me that I'm going to keep in my pool. And if they hit, they hit. But I'm not going to be forcing them in like I am on the Reds side.
All right, JT, 7 implied total here between the Phillies and Reds. Any interest in this game?
Yeah, I do have some interest in Philadelphia, like I said, especially with Hunter Green being 40% owned. This is a team that got to Jacob deGrom last week, and now you've got the home opener. It's decent weather, 60 degrees, slight wind blowing in, and if the field is going to be 40, 50% on Hunter Green, and like I said, I'll have some Hunter Green, but I'm definitely going to have some Philly stacks in here. I can't say that I have the same enthusiasm for Cincinnati that Gary does. This is a team that the last 2-3 seasons we just have not played on the road. And I haven't seen anything out of them that makes me think that I want to start playing them on the road today. Maybe they can get to that bullpen because the Philly bullpen has not been good. But I'm going to go with Wheeler here and the years of the track record and probably go with him, like I said, in the opening as probably my number 1 guy on this slate.
All right, we'll keep this thing moving along. We're 2 games in. We got 4 games left to discuss. And this next one is definitely one it sounds like JT has some interest in. So, JT, I will go to you next when we talk about this Twins game. But before we do that, guys, like Tolga said, just hit the like, right? If you hit the like, or which was wrong when I got here, if you hit the like, then we don't have to give out those plays. Then we'll give out those plays of the day. I don't have to ramble about it, right? I don't have to be getting all messed up. So please hit that like. We'll give those plays of the day for the people. Again, we got baseball lineups to make, right? JT and Gary, they got lineups that they want to make. I got lineups I want to make. We got to get off the show and be able to make those. But we're here giving you the free content over here at Run Pure Sports. So least you can do is hit that button and then subscribe to the channel to make sure you get notified when we go live. But let's talk about this game. And JT, I want to go to you because you definitely teased it a little bit. You talked about how you're not going to have that much interest in your cutie today. You might be on the Twins side of the ball. And we know how the Twins can go, man. Like the Twins, they're very boom bust. It's either 0 runs or it seems like it's 10 runs with them. They got Joey Gallo in the lineup who has a ton of upside down at the bottom. Kyle Farmer, who I like that addition. That was one guy I saw that went to the Twins that I thought wasn't a bad one. Miranda in the 4-hole. You got Larnack in the 3-hole for a cheap price tag. And, of course, Byron Buxton at 5.9K as a really good spend. There's a lot of options like on the Twins. And then on the flip side, you definitely can't sleep on this Astros lineup. Sonny Gray does a pretty good job of limiting the damage, but they got their big boys in the lineup, right? Jordan's in the lineup. You got Pena, Bregman, Jordan, Abreu, Tucker. Bottom lineup isn't as great as it used to be, but I have faith in the Astros to be able to have some young guys come up and really clean up that lineup a bit. But JT Hayes, are you doing a game stack of this Astros Twins game, or are you just interested in that Twins side to leverage off of your cutie a little bit?
So not a game stack, but you know the rule of thumb here, right, Mangone? I mean, if the Twins are highly owned, you want to pass. If they're low owned, you want to have some interest. And a 6% owned Twin stack against Jose Urquidy and a bullpen for this Astros team that has not looked anywhere near as good as it has been the last couple of seasons. These Twins just come off a weekend in Miami and the beginning of the season in Kansas City where they were just smashing the baseball. They put up 11, 12 runs against the Marlins in that stadium. And I think they continue it here today. The weather isn't the greatest, but it's not a terrible wind coming in. And I'm going to take some shots on that 4% owned twin stack here, simply because these are the times when they go absolutely off. And last couple of days, I've been pretty good at identifying the low owned stack. Did not get the Giants right yesterday, but I'm going to take some shots here on the Twins when nobody's going to be playing them. As far as the Astros, not a 5-man for me at all. I think you, of course, can always play Jordan or Tucker or even Pena and Bregman, but I won't be 5-manning the Astros. I will have, I would say, triple the field on Twins 5-man stacks.
All right. Sounds like JT really likes the Twins. Curious to see what your take is on it, Gary. 7.5 implied total. We got the wind blowing in here, but again, these Twins, when they hit the ball, they hit it far, they hit it long. Definitely a good team for DFS wise. And I agree with JT. When they're chalk, I don't want them, but when they're not owned, they're interesting, especially as a little bit of a leverage play. What's your thoughts on this 6-game slate on this game, Gary?
So coming into the show, I really wasn't on the Twins at all. JT just made some compelling arguments to play some Twins, and he is right. We never play the Twins when they're chalk, and we play them when they're not chalk. So I just added them as a potential 5-man in my pool on this slate. Like the call a lot. You got some cheap bats in here too. So yeah, I mean, I'm in on some Twins. I always like the Astros. I mean, I think you could 5-man the Astros any slate. They're on par with the Braves for me as far as their offense. Even though the bottom 4 of their lineup is not good right now anyway. But I won't be 5-manning them on this slate. Probably taking them out of my mini pool too. So JT's talked me into some Twins here, so I like it.
All right, JT, since you seem like you know this twin situation well, we have a loyal chatter in here. His name's Andrew Martinez. I see him here often. He asked JTAs, well, how would you rank the players in a Twins min stacks or in a min stack? So I guess what he's asking is, how do you rank the Twins today, some of these batters?
Yeah, I saw the question. I just started looking at the lineup to try and give him an answer. And Joey Gallo's been on fire. He looks like his form is back, at least, where he's not going to strike out 80% of the time.
He also doesn't have the shift on him, right, JT? Where that's
you can't have the shift, right? You can't have the shift. So it's fair to say that the shift helps him, but as much as he was striking out, that's not the only difference for him, right? So it's clear that he's made some adjustments as well that have worked, and he's going to get a pitcher today that he can take advantage of. So but Buxton is probably not the top guy just because he's not stealing, because they want to preserve his health, but he can certainly get a couple of doubles, pop one out. So I would go with Larnach and Gallo. Correa is due to have a big game. He's going to have a big game at some point. He's going to have big games this season, even if it's not as good a season as he normally does. So I like Correa, Buxton, Miranda. And then the other guys are just fillers. Like, I don't want to be overweight on Solano or Farmer or Vasquez or Taylor. Although Vasquez I like a little. That 3,300 price for your catcher in the stack is not bad. So I would say I'd be over if I was doing like 10 lineups, right? I want to be 60 to 75% Buxton, Correa, Larnach, Gallo, and Miranda. And then the others I would back down to like 20, 30%.
Yeah, it's the old Carlos Correa revenge game, right? So that's obviously in play as well. Actually, JT, you're not a revenge guy for baseball, JT?
I mean, the revenge thing, it has its moments, right? It has its moments. We're seeing it play out at the Masters right now with Brooks Koepka. There are people who are vengeful. Carlos Correa, he's just happy to get his fucking money, man. He's just happy that someone finally accepted those medical results, and he can play baseball for as long as he's able, and he's going to make a lot of money, and he's going to be set for life. He's not all that vengeful. But you know what else isn't vengeful? Any of Jose Urquidy's pitches. So I think it works out pretty well.
That's true. I'm hoping I'm on a show with you for the Carlos Correa Mets game, right? That they'll see if there's real revenge there. I don't think there is, but
don't get me started on the Mets, baby. Don't get me started on the Mets.
That's exactly the rabbit hole I wanted to go down with you. But anyways, let's keep this thing moving along. We obviously think this is a pretty good game. I think JT made some really compelling arguments. Obviously, helped Gary get excited about it. I think I got more excited about the Twins too. So it's hard to get me excited about the Twins. So I thought those were some pretty good takes by JT there. Let's go talk about Seattle and the Cleveland Guardians. 7.5 implied total here. It's a game that I don't really think I want to play much of, but to be fair, this is the second time these pitchers are seeing the hitters, right? And that's typically a really nice lean for the hitters. So maybe a game stack comes into play. Maybe there's some options here that we should consider. They obviously have some power hitters that you got to consider, right? I mean, Ty France has a ton of power. Julio Rodriguez, always a spend up that you can go to. I know Gary talked about Aaron Judge having a lot of ownership. I mean, are people really going to play Julio Rodriguez? That could be a contrarian guy to end up getting to your lineups. Catcher's not typically a fun roster. We got one in the 4-hole here. Josh Bell, always in play, it seems like, with the power that he has, and Jose Ramirez as a spend-up third baseman. So there are definitely real-time hitters in this game that we can't ignore. Gary, let's go to you first. Are you interested in attacking these pitchers after seeing these batters recently, or are you just fading this game because of the total?
So I'm going to use a stat that JT uses quite often in determining how he likes to attack a slate here. And after their first start, Aaron Savale has a 1.05 BABIP against. That's not sustainable, like, at all. He's relying on defense. He's throwing to contact a lot. So yeah, I have a lot of interest here in the Seattle bats specifically. I'm not going to attack the other guy on the other side, but I do like Seattle here quite a bit. Julio Rodriguez, I'm seeing low ownership on him. Suarez, Ty France, Cal Raleigh, like those four specifically. But don't mind adding in like a Teoscar Hernandez. Colton Wong has been absolutely atrocious so far this season. Same with J.P. Crawford, and same with Jared Kelenic, to be honest. I mean, he had a monster spring that, again, has just not translated into the season so far. So I do like Julio Rodriguez, Eugenio Suarez, Ty France, and Cal Raleigh quite a bit here in a spot where I think we could see some severe regression for Aaron Savale. But on the Cleveland side, while I won't be stacking them, I mean, man, they've been pretty good this year. Outside of Jose Ramirez has yet to really get heated up here, but don't mind them for one-offs here. Specifically, the guys that run, right? I mean, Miles Straw has been running a lot. He's 3,300. Don't hate that as like a cheap filler piece, but I'm more in on the Seattle side here.
All right, JT, we'll go over to you. Are you interested in the numbers that Gary was talking about with Savale? Are you playing anyone from this game? What's your approach?
Yeah. So Savale did have a good game against these guys. That was in Seattle. Now you go to Cleveland, where it's not a park that we have targeted in the past. But as we were talking about, I think it was on Monday's show, these new rules, man, they're going to change how you look at these parks. And the one thing that stands out to me about Cleveland, particularly in that series that they played against Oakland, is these catchers can't control the running game. And when you think about that, and you think about the fact that they have Julio Rodriguez, Teoscar, I know J.P. Crawford hasn't gotten it going yet, but these are guys that can run around the bases. These are guys that can hit the ball. And I always like to target Savale after a good game because we know that he's inconsistent. So I can see playing a 5% owned Seattle stack, a handful of them. I mean, when you look at ownership, that's one of the things that I try and do, right, is which teams are under owned. Should Seattle be 5% owned against Aaron Savale? It should probably be a little bit higher than that. So I think it's fair to toss a couple of Seattle stacks in there. And then you mentioned it, I think, about the Cleveland side is they have as well taken advantage of the new rules and gotten going in the running game. A little bit more respect for the arm of Cal Raleigh, but we know that Logan Gilbert has that big windup, and you can take a base on him as well. So a little bit lower on the Cleveland side. I think Seattle's an interesting low-owned stack to try and get some exposure to.
Yep, Seattle definitely going to be interesting here in this spot. I think you definitely take advantage of Savale. So like the points that you guys brought up there with him. Let's head on over to this next game. Let's go to the White Sox and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's go back to JT first on this one because, listen, I typically like when we get the White Sox against the lefty, right? I mean, we have a solid lineup here that can take advantage of it. We got Tim Anderson. We got Luis Robert. We got Vaughn. We got Moncada, Berger, Grandal. I mean, this is not an overall bad lineup here to take advantage of Rich Hill. So, JT, my question to you is, with the wind blowing out 10 miles an hour, even though Pittsburgh's not a great park, Rich Hill serving up some meatballs like a tasty Coors Light on a Friday night. What's your thoughts here on the White Sox?
There's going to be plenty of tasty Coors Lights in my future this evening at Truist Park, but I'll take advantage of this situation, of this game, to bring up that 2 days ago I said that the White Sox were my team, and Gary jumped all over me. He said the wind was going sideways. I'll call it a draw. I'll call it a draw because the White Sox did end up scoring the second most runs on the slate, 7 runs, but it was a lot of singles and doubles, a couple of stolen bases, so they really didn't get me there. I've played the Sox the last couple of days in a row, and they've disappointed. But against Rich Hill, I will say, Pirates bullpen, maybe at least the back end a little bit better than I think maybe people give it credit for. But the middle, if they can get to the Pirates bullpen, I think the Sox can have a decent day. They are showing some ownership here. They're showing to be about the 3rd highest owned stack. So you certainly won't be alone in playing them. But this, if I was going to play a couple of game stacks, I'm going to throw in a couple of game stacks here just because I like what we've seen out of some of these younger Pirates guys, Cruz, Reynolds, even Sawinski, and take a shot here. Even though I am going to have exposure to Gio, I think this is one where, not go crazy, but have a couple of game stacks just because I think you've got some talent here on both sides. And you're right. If Rich Hill leaves those balls over the plate and up, this could be a very nice game for these right-handed Sox.
Yep. Gary, we'll go over to you. Any interest in this White Sox team against Rich Hill? Obviously not a great pitcher, but some of these older guys, they can find ways to get through games at times. Definitely not rostering him. What about Giolito? You didn't seem super high on him, so maybe you have some interest in some Pittsburgh minis or main stacks. What are you doing here with this 8.5 implied total?
Yeah, so just mini stacks for me on the Pittsburgh side. I'll probably stay away from the Sawinskis of the world, but I like the G. I don't know how to say his name. His last name's Bay. Well, whoever Bay is, I like that guy a little bit here today. Brian Reynolds has been just absolutely on fire to start the season, trying to get his new contract. It's making it more difficult for Pittsburgh here. O'Neal Cruz, always in play for me. Just, huge power, hits the ball harder than anybody on the planet. So, yeah, I do like those 3 guys. And White Sox were one of my favorites going into the slate. I've moved them down just a little bit here. But I do still like them here. I do like Yohan Moncada a lot more against right-handed pitching than left-handed pitching. But he has been on fire to start the season so far. So I do like that quite a bit here. They're probably like my 3rd favorite stack as a full 5-man here.
I will make one note here, Travis, before you go on, about the White Sox, and we saw this yesterday. It's something to keep in mind. Jake Berger was in there only as long as a lefty was in there. Yeah. As soon as they pulled Alex Wood in the 4th inning, Jake Berger got pulled in the 4th inning, pinch hit for by Gavin Sheets. So if you are making multiple White Sox stacks, Berger is a guy that while you want to have some exposure to, you don't want him in every single White Sox stack or even close to it.
No, that's a good point for sure. Those are little things to catch, and we kind of catch those on as the season goes on. So this is the information we talk about a lot in Discord chats. If you haven't signed up at Run Pure Sports, definitely get in on that. And also, I know you talked about Ji-Hwan Bae. Just so you know, that guy's a stud, and anyone who's a stud is related to Glock. So, we're big Ji-Hwan Bae fans over here. I like this pitcher lineup, though. I think it's a good spot to get exposure to them against Giolito. And I think the game stack's in play, too. Don't sleep on the game stack, especially. And if you do it, like let's say you do the minis for Pittsburgh, little 5-2-1, if you do 5 White Sox and then 2 Pittsburgh, and then because you have some cheap bats in the lineups, you can grab a really nice, tasty one-off like a Julio Rodriguez, something like that, just that no one's on while everyone's on like the Aaron Judge. So I think it's a really great game to game stack up and hope that the wind kind of maybe blows out a little bit and both these pitchers absolutely blow up, because I think you could see that as being the case. We'll talk about this next game. Kind of similar. Wind's blowing out 10 miles an hour, 55 degrees. We got Giants and we got the Royals. And this is not really a game that I think people are going to be excited about because it's in San Francisco. Gary touched on it a little bit before. Gary, we'll go right back to you. I know you like some Alex Cobb. The Royals do have some power at the top of the lineup, but then it definitely drops off, especially when you have, Nicky Lopez in the 7-hole and Jackie Bradley Jr. in the 8-hole. I mean, man, that's a rough group of power there. So the top of the lineup, you can make a case for, but that bottom of the lineup could really struggle where the lineup won't turn around. So the stacks don't seem great in Kansas City. And then San Francisco, they can hit some bombs. They're definitely, I think, in the conversation, but Brad Keller has had some success at times, right? Actually, no, that's Brady Singer, I think, right? I'm trying to remember the last
Brady
year.
Singer.
Yeah,
Brady Singer, yeah.
But Brad Keller, he's the guy we can take advantage of. So wrong, that's apologies on my part. And the Giants do have some power and pop. So what are you doing with this Giants stack? Are they going to be one of your favorites on the slate? How do you want to handle it, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, they're my clear top stack here on this slate. I just got to ride the wave. I mean, baseball's a streaky sport. This team just keep on hitting bombs every slate. I know they're probably going to be one of the top two most popular stacks. It's probably going to be them and the Yankees as the top two popular. So I probably wouldn't play the Yankees with the Giants just on that premise alone, because I think those two together will be very popular on this slate. But yeah, I do like the San Francisco team. I like it top to bottom here. Blake Sabol finally hit a home run yesterday. JT, I don't know if you saw it. I saw something on Twitter. He had a bat that was painted to look like Barry Bonds' bat from back in the day. Like, he's a huge Barry Bonds guy. And his first at bat with that bat, he hits a bomb. It was pretty cool for him. I know DC's been wanting to play Sabol pretty much every day, and he's 2K stone minimum. I like it here. I'll stay away from Roberto Perez though for the Giants. Much rather play Sabol, who also has outfield eligibility, and that's pretty nice. He's going to be popular. But yeah, I do like the Giants here, and I can't play any of these Royals today. I'm just Xing them out of my pool. I don't even want one-offs here, so pretty much all in on Cobb as my favorite pitcher on the slate. So yeah, definitely love me some Giants.
All right, Giants it is. JT, any interest in the Giants here before we wrap the show up?
Yeah, the way I normally play is to not go back to the team that scored 16 runs the day before. But, I mean, you can't argue with the pricing. You can't argue with the matchup. They are showing, for me right now, to be the highest owned stack by a little bit over the Yankees. But I think, like Gary said, if you get a little bit creative, maybe mix them in with Seattle or Minnesota or the Pirates or one of these other teams that we talked about. And if they have moderate games at those prices, they'll be up close to the top. So I like them. And then not a ton of interest yet. The Royals last year did the same thing. They started off really slow, and then sort of by the middle of the season, it was like every other day we were looking to try and get some Royals in our lineup. I do like their ability to steal here, especially if it's Perez behind the plate. But I just don't know that I'm going to have all that much exposure to them. In 75 lineups and 150 lineups, I'd still probably limit them to just 2 or 3 man stacks.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. We got the stacks, and then we got the plays of the day that we'll give to the people. There are 214 watching. It's 109 likes. JT, I think they've done a decent enough job. I would say after the stacks, we give away the plays of the day. What's your thoughts? Or do we wait till after the stacks to make the decision?
I don't know. It's kind of ugly. I mean, right? I mean, we got about half. I usually like to see 60%. So let's go through the stacks. Let's see how we feel. Maybe my mood will change here.
All right. Well, we'll see if the mood changes. A Tasty Coors Light could change it. So who knows? Maybe someone in the chat can deliver one to your house real quick in the next couple of minutes to be able to get you excited. But
then mow me a little coupon. There you go. There you
go. Let's keep this thing moving along, though. Let's go to the stacks. Gary, let's go to you first. Who are the top stacks for you? Which ones are you looking at here on this slate?
I think it has to start with the Giants for me. I just love hot streaks in baseball. I'm going to ride them until they bite me in the butt. But I don't think that's going to be today here. So definitely like them. And my favorite mini low owned stack is definitely going to be the Reds against Wheeler.
All right, JT, top stacks for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go contrarian here. I'm gonna go with Minnesota, and I'm gonna go with Seattle, and I'm gonna go with Philadelphia.
All right, those are the stacks. Let's see the likes. Let's see what the people that got it 115, 213 watching. JT, I'm down to give them away, but if you're not, then we won't do it. You let me know.
Go ahead.
All right, we're giving I just want to see the Eiffel Tower, right? And I have a play of the day that, I talked about it earlier. You got me excited a little bit about the Twins. I'll go first with my play of the day just because I think it's a good one. Got the ping pong play of the day. We got JT as the ping pong ball. It's looking good. But my play of the day is going to be simple, JT. We're going to that twin side of the ball. It's a play that I don't think you are going to be on that much, but I want to hear your take on it. It's Kyle Farmer wants a wife. We're going with him as the play of the day. He's 3.7K, third base and shortstop eligible. Nice little contrarian stack. You're not just playing that 1 through 5, right? You get Kyle Farmer in there. He's got some power and pop and got a little bit of speed. So give me Kyle Farmer wants a wife as my play of the day.
That's Kyle and not Kylie Farmer, right? It's Kyle Farmer.
Correct. It's Kyle, not Kylie Farmer. So I thought that was a great play on words for the people that understand the joke.
Nice.
That's my play of the day. Let's go to Gary next. And we do not have Gary's graphic because, again, we threw the show together. We were supposed to be NBA. Gary's filling in for AP here. So we got Gary's gentleman's play of the day. How's that sound? So, Gary, who do you got?
Yeah, so I'm going to go to my favorite low-owned mini stack. I said many times on the show how I love to ride hot streaks. Jason Vossler for the Reds. He's hit a home run in each of the last 3 games. I think he does it again here against a very chalky Zach Wheeler. I'm going to go – and I like that he has first base and outfield eligibility. Definitely like the dual eligibility there. It just makes a lot work for your lineup. Jason Vossler, 3,600, is going to hit another dong today.
All right. We'll go on over. We'll get on the plane. But before we do that, we gotta thank some people in the chat, right? We got Sherry L says, thank you. Elite sports education every day. Happy to provide that. That's why we got, people that got doctorate degrees, right? Like the fantasy doctor, JT. So, hey, we're here to provide for you. Thank you, Sherry. We appreciate you a lot. But JT, we're going to go over to you for the Eiffel Tower play of the day. Who is your guy? Who's the one that's going to bring us to the finish line?
Yeah, I'm going to give you 2 here, and I'm going to give you 2 because they're both contrarian. So you can fit in whatever pitchers you want and still get these guys. The first, I'm going to stick with the Twins thought process here. A little bit reverse splits on Jose Urquidy from time to time. Doesn't mean he's good against lefties by any means. It just means righties hit him hard as well. So let's go with Carlos Correa as the Eiffel Tower play of the day. And then the second guy, he's been hot. He's been on fire. He gets to make his home opener debut this season in the city of brotherly love. Kyle Schwarber. He's going to put one into right center field against Hunter Green today.
All right. Those are the plays of the day. That'll wrap it up for us. Coming up next is the premium show, but that's at 6 p.m. Eastern. So you got some time. You got some day baseball to watch and sweat. Grab a nice drink on your Good Friday, a little tasty Coors Light like JT Hayes, sweat some baseball games, and then dive in for the 6 p.m. show where we'll have the premium side. We'll have DC talking some baseball winners for you. And then on top of that, we got the NBA takes from JSU. Big T, they'll also give you MLB takes too, of course, but they'll break it all down. And Holden will be there as well. He'll be hanging out at least. So we'll be top-notch advice and Holden on the show today on the premium show. But thanks a lot for joining us here on the MLB Swinging for the Fences show. For me, Mangone, Gary, JT Hayes. We'll see you guys later.